I'm Mabel. The door clicked shut behind my parents, and the sudden quiet in my apartment was almost deafening. It was a peaceful kind of quiet, the kind I hadn't felt in years. I exhaled slowly, and a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying lifted off me. It all started when my mom, Mrs. Thompson, called me. She said, "We're canceling Thanksgiving this year. It's just too expensive." She also told me, "Don't send money. And don't bring the kids, Ben and Mia. Ben is 8, full of energy and always up for an adventure. Mia, 6, is as sweet as can be, with a heart of gold." I didn't question her. I tossed aside the list of Thanksgiving groceries I'd been making and told Ben and Mia that Grandma needed some rest. Ben nodded understandingly, but Mia's little face fell. "No turkey at Grandma's?" she whispered. I forced a smile and said, "We'll still have a great time here at home." 2 days later, while I was packing the kids' lunches, my phone buzzed. It was a bank alert from the credit card I'd co-signed for my parents. It showed a purchase of 6 first-class flight tickets to Hawaii. The names on the tickets were Mom, Dad, my brother Jake, his wife Lisa, and their 2 kids. There was no sign of my name or my kids. I froze, staring at the screen. For a moment, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe it was a scam. But as I scrolled through the details, it became clear. They hadn't canceled Thanksgiving, they'd just canceled us. I grew up in a middle-class family. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, always seemed like good people. They were active in the community, volunteering at the local church and helping neighbors in need. But being their daughter meant I was always the one to help out financially. I'd paid for their car repairs, their medical bills, and even their home insurance. They always promised to pay me back, but they never did. And I never asked because I thought that's what a good daughter does. This Thanksgiving, I wanted it to be special. Ben had been talking about dressing up as a Native American, and Mia wanted to be a pilgrim. For years, we'd spent Thanksgiving at my parents' place, sharing a big meal and making memories. It was the one tradition that made me feel like part of a real family, not just a bank account. When Mom called to cancel, her tone was casual. "It's just too much this year, Mabel. The economy is tough, you know. We're all tightening our belts." I could picture her sitting at the kitchen counter, sipping her coffee from the mug I'd bought her last Christmas. I offered to cover the costs, like I always did, but she refused quickly. "No, honey. You've done enough." There was something in her voice, a hint of guilt maybe, but I brushed it off. People get funny about money, especially parents. That night, I took down the autumn decorations we'd hung on the wall and put away the kids' costumes. "Grandma's tired this year," I told them. Ben just nodded, but Mia's eyes welled up with tears. The next day at work, I told my friend Sarah what had happened. She was furious. "You're kidding. After all you've done for them?" I just shrugged. "I guess family loyalty has an expiration date." Sarah leaned back and said, "You could freeze the card, you know." I shook my head. "I can't. They'd be stuck there." Sarah looked at me seriously and said, "Mabel, that's not your emergency. It's theirs." That evening, I got a message from Mom. It was a photo of a beautiful sunset over the ocean in Hawaii. "Isn't it beautiful here? Jake finally seems relaxed," she wrote, with a little heart emoji at the end. Then came another photo of my dad, Jake, and their families in matching Hawaiian shirts, smiling and having a great time. The caption read, "Family time we all needed." That's when it stopped being about the money. I wasn't angry because they'd used my credit. I was angry because they'd used me, my kindness, my silence, and my endless forgiveness. That night, I sat at my desk, looking at the credit card statements. Every charge, every transaction was like a stab in the heart. By Friday, the charges from Hawaii had doubled. There were charges for fancy dinners, spa treatments, and even a private boat tour. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, the glow of the screen turning the room into a battlefield. For years, I'd been the one to fix things, to make everything okay. But this time, I didn't want to fix anything. I wanted them to feel the consequences. I hovered over the freeze card option on the account settings. My finger trembled, but I stopped. Not yet. Not like this. On Saturday morning, Sarah called. "You look like you haven't slept in days," she said. "I've been doing math," I replied flatly. "The emotional kind or the financial kind?" she asked. "Both," I said, and I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "You know what they count on, right? That you'll keep being the nice one." That evening, I FaceTimed my parents. They were sitting on a balcony, drinks in hand, with the ocean in the background. I could hear Jake's laughter in the distance. "Hey, Mom. How's the trip?" I asked. "Oh, it's lovely, honey. You'd love it here," she said. "I bet," I replied. "Quick question. Did you know the card you used is in my name?" Her smile faltered. "Well, yes, but you said it was okay for family expenses." "Family?" I repeated. I just wasn't sure if that still included me. She laughed nervously. "Mabel, please. You're overreacting. It's just money." "Exactly," I said. "It's just money. You won't miss it." And I hung up before she could say anything else. After putting the kids to bed, I made a cup of tea and sat back at the table. I logged into the credit card account one more time. My heart was steady, calm. I drafted 2 emails. One was to the bank, requesting the immediate cancellation of all supplementary cards. The other was to confirm that I would no longer be the guarantor on the account. Then I waited. By Sunday morning, the first text came from Mom. "Honey, something's wrong with the card. The hotel says it's declined. Can you check?" I didn't reply. Another text came an hour later. "Please call me. We're at the front desk." Still, I said nothing. That Sunday afternoon, my phone started vibrating non-stop. I let it buzz on the counter as Ben and Mia were carving pumpkins on the balcony, the smell of cinnamon candles filling the air. Finally, the calls stopped, and then there was a knock on the door. It was almost 5 p.m. When I opened the door. My parents stood there, sunburned and exhausted, with their luggage in the hallway. Jake and Lisa stood a few steps back, avoiding my eyes. Mom pushed past me into the living room and said, "We've been trying to reach you all day. Do you have any idea what we just went through?" I leaned against the doorway and said, "Enlighten me." Mom told me that the bank had frozen the card, and they couldn't check out of the resort. Dad had to call a friend to book emergency flights home. "It was humiliating," she said. I folded my arms and said, "Imagine that." Dad stepped forward, his face red. "You can't just do something like this without warning." We were stranded there. I said evenly, on a trip I didn't even know about until I saw it on my statement. Jake finally spoke up, his voice low and defensive. "It wasn't your business what Mom and Dad did with their vacation." I replied, "Except they did it on my credit." Lisa cleared her throat and tried to play peacemaker. "I think this is just a misunderstanding. Your mom thought you cut her off." I looked at Mom. "You thought you could lie to me, cancel Thanksgiving for my kids, and use my money to take Jake's family on a vacation?" Mom's face tightened. "Don't twist it like that. We just needed a break." I said softly, "Then you should have taken one. With your own money." Dad's voice rose. "You're being ungrateful, Mabel. After everything we've done for you." That word ungrateful hit me like a shock. All the times I'd helped them, the roof repairs, the medical bills, the times I'd bailed Jake out of trouble, flashed through my mind. I took a deep breath. You've done a lot for me, sure. Like teaching me that family can take advantage of you and still expect gratitude. Dad snapped, watch your tone. I smiled thinly. I am, for once. Mom's voice cracked. We didn't mean to hurt you. I almost believed her, but then I remembered the photos, the caption about family time. Mom, when you told me to skip Thanksgiving because it was too expensive, did you already have the flights booked? She hesitated and then looked down. That was all the answer I needed. I continued, you could have just said you didn't want us there. It would have been cheaper. Mom whispered, don't talk like that in front of your brother. Jake shifted awkwardly. Look, Mabel. Maybe it wasn't handled right, but locking the cards was overkill. I met his eyes. So was lying. He didn't reply. Just then, Mia's laugh floated in from the hallway. Ben followed, holding up his pumpkin. Mom, can I show Grandma? Mom turned towards him, maybe hoping to smooth things over. Of course, sweetheart. I stepped in front of her. No. The word hung in the air, heavy and final. You don't get to smile at them after what you did. You told me not to bring my kids, and then you used my credit to take Jake's kids on vacation. You didn't just lie to me, you lied to them. Mom's mouth opened and then closed. She had nothing to say. Dad rubbed his temples. What do you want from us? An apology? No, I said. Accountability. I walked over to the counter and picked up a stack of papers I'd printed that morning: bank statements, confirmation emails, every charge related to that trip. I handed them to Dad. You'll find your signatures here for every transaction. I'm closing this account, and the debt is yours now. The bank has already approved the transfer. Mom paled. You wouldn't. I already did, I said. Jake muttered something under his breath, and Lisa grabbed his arm. I'm done being your safety net, I said quietly. From now on, if you want to travel, you'll need to earn it like I did. Dad looked like he wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. Mom's eyes glistened. You're punishing us. No, I said. I'm freeing myself. Behind me, Mia tugged at my sleeve. Mom, are we still having Thanksgiving? I smiled at her. Yeah, baby, we are. When I turned back, my parents were already at the door, gathering their things. Jake mumbled a goodbye, and Lisa avoided my gaze. As the door clicked shut, the apartment felt different, lighter. The same walls, the same furniture, but without the weight of guilt. That night, as the kids laughed and passed out candy to the few trick-or-treaters who came by, it was a bit late for Thanksgiving, but the spirit was there. I got a text from Mom. We got home. I hope you're happy. I typed back, for the first time, I am. A week later, an envelope came in the mail. Inside was a check from my dad for part of the resort bill and a note in my mom's handwriting. We didn't realize how much we relied on you. We'll figure things out from now on. There was no apology, but it was enough. I tucked the letter away and looked at the kids' pumpkins on the windowsill. The candlelight flickered against the glass, like small, stubborn hearts. Maybe that's what change looked like: not loud, not perfect, just honest. I poured myself a cup of tea, smiled at the quiet, and whispered, Happy Thanksgiving. I learned that night that love without respect isn't love at all. It's just debt in the disguise of devotion. For years, I thought keeping the peace meant paying the price. But now I know that peace comes when you stop buying your place in the family. This Thanksgiving, my kids will remember laughter, not rejection. And I'll remember the moment I chose self-respect over silence. If you've ever been the one who gives until there's nothing left, maybe it's your turn to stop fixing everything. Share your story in the comments and hit subscribe for more true stories of betrayal, justice, and strength.